Hi, everyone, and welcome to another powerful conversation with yet another powerful woman. I'm delighted to be joined today by Melody Jane. I've actually known Melody for quite a few years in various guises. I think we've both probably had different careers over the years that I've known Melody, but met her again recently at a local networking group, and she was kind enough to say she would appear as a guest on this show. So thank you for joining me, Melody. Would you like to tell everybody who you are and what you do?
You're so welcome, Claire, and thank you for the reminder. Yeah, we have known each other a little while now, haven't we? Yes, I am a mentor, I am a teacher, and I'm a guide. And how that transpires in the world is very much working one-to-one with people, running courses and workshops. And I work with the angelic realm. So my work is very guided and intuitive. And one of my clients said something that will always stick: expect the unexpected.
Expect the unexpected. It is, and that's the expect the unexpected of when working with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And so who are your clients, and what sorts of things do you generally help them with?
Okay, well, the majority of my clients tend to be women, which won't surprise you there, and particularly women who are in leadership roles. They don't always recognize that they are leaders, so they might be mothers or leaders in their community in some shape or form, yet they are all leaders or moving into the role of leadership into the world. And it's really interesting because I wasn't aware of that for quite some time. And then it became apparent that there was this beautiful thread running between everybody. As much as we're all unique, that it's amazing when we notice these little similarities that we all contain and share. So it's able to do. And the other part of your question, well, people come to me for all sorts of reasons. It could be a very human thing, like a relationship breakdown, or something around their mental health, or even career related. Yet what actually happens is this whole deep dive into who they really are, and they come out of it, of course, stronger, wiser, more empowered, because that is the key to my work. It's all about empowerment and helping somebody access that inner power that we all contain.
Yeah. So how did you stumble across, or I don't know, or how did this evolve as who you wanted to help and how you wanted to help them?
Brilliant question. So this is something I have reflected on over the years and seen my own golden thread and how it has arisen over time. And it's a really interesting exercise when we allow ourselves to do it. I was an interior designer for many years. Over 25 years, I ran my own interior design business. And it was the real recognition. And before that, I was in other roles where I was in customer service, client facing. It's that recognition, particularly with the interior design more than anything else, that my role was to handhold. Yes, handhold. That's not a phrase we say very often, is it? So it, again, it's that empowerment, is giving people confidence in their own decisions, their own self-worth, the fact that their ideas have value, and by association that they have value. So I've always been in fields where I've been helping people to grow. And as I've grown and learnt myself and followed my own path of self-development, it was a natural growth that I was called more and more to help people specifically. And how that manifested, first of all, was I started teaching meditation. I never imagined that I would do that. This is often the case for all of us in many things that we end up doing, following our path and our purpose. It's not something that we know. It just naturally evolves by us following our passions, what lights us up, and what we're naturally good at, those beautiful gifts and talents that we all have. So yeah, I started teaching meditation, and very much my teaching developed through that, because it wasn't just about leading meditation. It was very much about the support aspect and giving more in-depth teaching around what it means to be human,
Yeah.
and how we can harness that to our benefit, rather than struggling with all the things that perhaps we tend to struggle with.
Yeah. There's so many, just listening to you talk, there's just so many parallels in our journeys. It's just quite uncanny, actually. Obviously, I
There
used
are
to do
no
the,
coincidences.
I know there are no coincidences. Yeah, because obviously I did interior design as well, and mindfulness and coaching, and these things are, they're all very similar. But what came to mind when you were talking about the interior design aspect is there were clients that we had that had creativity and interior design style, and they needed help because they maybe lacked confidence and maybe some knowledge on how to come up with a good design scheme and implement it. But equally, there were people that had absolutely no idea, had no sort of intuition about which colors and patterns and placement of items and all this sort of thing, and just completely incapable of doing that. So it just made me think the parallel between that and sort of helping anybody step into their power is that there are people who need a guiding hand to do that. But what about the people who are blind, if let's just put it as a sort of like that sort of word?
That's just made me giggle, bless you. What's the quote or phrase about none so blind as those that choose not to see? It's interesting, as you're saying, the parallels. It's there are no coincidences. It's I love your observation there. I'm going to use another well-worn phrase. You can lead a horse to water,
Yeah.
We all contain so much creativity within us. We don't always believe that we do. That creativity doesn't necessarily manifest in terms of art and design or singing and dancing. Yet we can all do those things to whatever level, is whether we choose to and
Yeah.
express ourselves through these forms. Because often as humans, we so easily and readily fall into the comparison trap, whereas actually whatever we're called to do is right for us. And it's not necessarily about sharing everything with the world. This is one of the downsides around things like social media, where people feel a compunction, a compelling to having to share or compare. Whereas actually there's great joy in terms of, daubing a piece of paper with some paint, not for any purpose, not to create a great artwork, just for the pure pleasure of getting messy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And expressing yourself in ways that perhaps are not natural and normal to you, yet what they do is help free yourself from your mind, your self-imposed constraints. So you're asking the question around people who are so-called blind to seeing these things. It's like we all have a choice. And one of the things that I know I bring in my work is a different perspective. So sometimes that's all that we need, is a
Yeah.
different perspective to see things that perhaps we haven't seen before, in a way that we haven't seen before. And sometimes that can be the seed. That can be all that we all need
Yeah.
to reignite ourselves, our inner flame, that Agni for any yogis out there, that sacred fire that burns within and allows us to, be like the phoenix, rise from the proverbial ashes and, create whatever is next for us on our journey.
Yeah, no, I hear you there, and I think it's really interesting how in education or in the corporate world, how we're conditioned to think and behave in certain ways, and we build up these layers and protective shells on us that maybe make us more analytical and more thought driven. But ultimately, underneath us, everybody has creativity. It's just that sometimes that definition of creativity is so rigid that creativity means that you're a fine artist, or creativity means that you're a top ballet dancer or an opera singer or something. But actually, we all have joy in us that expresses itself in very different forms. And when we look back to what we enjoyed when we were 5, there's often some really key things there that you can pick up on.
Yeah, mud pies and potions.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, I used to love making mud pies.
Yes, absolutely. And I hadn't remembered that. It was you saying that triggered that memory. And it's just wonderful, isn't it? And it's also the remembrance that we are all creating every moment of every day through our thoughts. We create our thoughts. And the more conscious and self-aware we become, the more we recognize that we are in control of our thoughts and what we create out in the world, which starts up here.
Yeah.
And it's interesting what you were saying around creativity, because what I was also getting, it's that whole invitation. As much as it's important to recognize that we create our worlds through our thoughts and our future world, it's really as important, if not more so, to drop down into our big, beautiful hearts, to allow ourselves to feel the way as to what's really important to us. What is it that lights us up? What is it that inspires us? What is it that empowers us? Because if we listen and allow ourselves to go within, then it's much easier to align our heads and our hearts, our thoughts and our feelings, and therefore move forward in a much more aligned, authentic way for us, and therefore create, and I'm purposely using that word, create the life that we desire, whatever that looks like for us.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I think generally what then holds us back is our limiting beliefs, that we believe that if we get joy out of I don't know, I'm trying to think of something, I don't know, plaiting grass, that that can't bring you a career and make you happy and successful. But actually it can.
Absolutely. And I love your example. Sometimes it's about just pausing. Well, actually, oftentimes it's about pausing and giving ourselves space to be and breathe, and stepping out of that humanness, allowing ourselves to say or recognize, as you quite rightly said, that a career can be made out of anything that brings you joy. I was blown away some time ago when I came across on some platform, probably Instagram because it's so visual, a beautiful company down in Cornwall who were doing magical things with seaweed, creating these beautiful works of art, and they were stunning and they were truly magical, for they were so enticing. And this is it. We do stop ourselves from dreaming, conceiving the fact that, these possibilities or potentials are there for all of us, not just some people. The fact that you and I have, traveled in a completely different direction, or what would appear to be to some people, yet an absolute natural progression. by listening to those nudges, those winks, those pulls, those signs on the path, by trusting ourselves and our guidance and following our passion and our desires. I mean, that really is the key. It's not about having a route plan, a route map, even though these things are useful, they have their place, yet not always. We've been conditioned to be too blinkered. And when we allow ourselves to let some of that conditioning just fall away, to soften, the more we learn to be gentle and tender with ourselves and open to any and all possibilities for ourselves, that's when we allow ourselves to let the magic in and really recognize the potential for joy and all sorts of things that we hadn't even perhaps imagined before in our lives.
Yeah. And I suppose what you just said at the beginning there was that sort of taking a step back and pausing, because that's one of the things that I think is the key to everything, that ability to pause, because, and there's that, great quote, I think it was Viktor Frankl, maybe, about between a stimulus and a response is the space to choose, or something along those lines. But it is, for me, mindfulness and meditation is what gave me that space to pause and then to be creative and to choose. So I suppose I'm just curious if that was a similar experience for you as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree more. Meditation is such a powerful tool. And I was thinking about this morning. I feel like I'm being called again to step into that arena and really support people around that, because so many people have misconceptions around meditation and self-limiting beliefs, as you've already mentioned, that belief that they can't, for whatever reason, that, they're overthinking, they are overthinkers, their mind is too busy. There is always an answer. There is always a way through. There is always an opportunity. There is always an option for change. It comes from within. We need to choose it. And if we even step into the possibility that that may be possible for us, then that creates the space for change to occur. You know that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, meditation for me has been a huge ally for many years. My mum, bless her, God bless her and rest her soul, she was very unusual at the time because she did yoga when I was growing up, so many years ago.
Yeah.
And her yoga teacher used to run all sorts of classes and courses for children during the summer holidays. So my brother and I had our first exposure to meditation when we were respectively 8 and 10 years old.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Which in our culture is very unusual. However, I cannot then sit here and profess that I have been a student of meditation consistently in all those years since, because I haven't. And that's also really important for us to recognize with any practice, with anything that serves us well, is being able to be soft around it and recognize when it's okay to step back and when we need to step forward into it. It's that giving ourselves that complete permission that we do know what we need, and allowing ourselves to step into that.
Yeah. And that just reminds me just of a conversation I had last week with Jackie Hesse, who
Jackie, I love Jackie. Yes.
Yeah. And we were talking about seeds and seasons, and you just then mentioning like your experience of meditating when you were younger. That was a seed that was planted and maybe wasn't ready to be nourish and harvest until you were ready for it in your life. And I think that that's it's just a really useful analogy to follow those seasons of the year and over life, that little seeds are planted all the times, and that doesn't mean to say that they're all going to bear fruit on the same day, that they are all there, and they will come up and germinate when they're ready to, and bear fruit when they're ready to. And just letting go of that expectation is really important, but that everything does happen for a reason, and it leads us to where we are when it's ready for us to be led there.
Absolutely, absolutely. In divine timing, of course.
Yeah.
And I love your analogy there. I mean, let us always look to Mother Earth, for
Yeah.
she guides us so well. We are such cyclical beings, and we forget this. We live in houses, we're often disconnected from our natural environment.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how it has become fashionable, which feels like the wrong word to say, yet it is an apt description of how things are. It's become fashionable to connect to nature, to get outside. It's
Yeah.
our natural state. One of
Yeah.
the greatest forms of meditation and self-soothing is to be outside,
Yeah.
to connect with Mother Earth, to hug a tree, to be by water, to put your bare feet on the earth, to
Yeah.
allow yourself to feel the wind and the rain on your hair, your face, your body.
Yeah.
Mother Earth is such a tool for us to expand into more of our being and allow ourselves to support ourselves. I mean, she is there not only to provide us with food. We have the incredible gift of living on this beautiful planet. And as much as we may be concerned about some of the ways that she isn't being looked after, what is more important in the here and now is for us all personally to find our own connection with Mother Earth,
Yeah.
to allow ourselves to explore what that means to us,
Yeah.
and to deepen our own connection so we can nourish Mother Earth with our energy by that recognition of who she is and what she means to us, our gratitude around the support and love that she gives us completely unconditionally.
Yeah.
And that also gives us the invitation to step more into unconditional love ourselves,
Yeah.
not only for Mother Earth, yet for ourselves and for all sentient beings.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's really beautiful how you articulated that. Really, really beautiful. And I suppose it just brings me to like one of my whys, which probably will resonate with you about, wouldn't it be amazing if we could live in a world where we all had a little bit more awareness, a little bit more consciousness, and we all had more compassion and kindness for everybody? Wouldn't that just be, maybe it's slightly utopian, but wow, that would be an incredible place to live. But then at the same time, you need the darkness to see the light. So it's all complex, isn't it? There's nothing is simple. Everything is interconnected.
Well, I think it is simple in the fact that it is all interconnected, and that it is one. And it's allowing ourselves to recognize that your dream is not utopian. It is very much a reality that we are moving into through the ascension process in this now time. It is what we are all here to usher in, whether we're conscious of it or not,
Yeah.
is neither here nor there. It is more about us stepping into the best versions of who we are, following what lights us up,
Yeah.
doing unto others,
Yeah.
being the light we wish to see and experience in the world. For the more we are the light that we wish to experience, the more the darkness is highlighted, both within and without.
Yeah.
And
Very
it
true.
really is about embracing that wholeness within as well as without. For whatever we push away, what we resist persists.
Yes.
You know,
Love that
it,
phrase. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So it really is about encompassing all, because true unconditional love accepts all and rejects none. And
Yeah.
when we embrace our own wholeness, we embrace our own holiness. And it is
Yes.
from that beautiful space that we can step forward into not only who we are, yet who we came here to be.
Yeah, that's so beautifully put. So just to finish up then, it feels like it's the right time to ask you, for anyone that's interested in finding out more about what you do, to get in touch with you, what's the best way of them to do that?
Okay, well, you can head over to my website, which is thisdivinelife.com. You'll find all sorts of offerings there, whether you wish to work with me or connect with me through social media. If you have any questions or thoughts that come out of the conversation, this very powerful conversation, thank you, Claire, that we've shared this morning, then, feel free to share your ideas and beliefs and comments with Claire and I think if I can be bold, Claire and I would both
Yeah,
love and enjoy that. So
definitely. Absolutely.
yeah, thank you so much for having me and having this opportunity to have this conversation with you. It's been beautiful and amazing and wonderful.
Thank you, Melody. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate our conversation. Could talk for hours
Yes.
about these sorts of things, and I really feel that we're both, equally passionate about our work, and that's just so, yeah, it's hopeful, which is great. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Oh, bless you, Claire. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.